Hey guys, it's Tyrone, and for this video, I just wanted to do a recap over the trades that netted me almost $40,000 during the month of August. You can see my P&L screenshots here. Would have been my best month. It probably would have been around like 60K, but I have some big losses during the month, which I'm gonna be going over in the video. If you want to see my thought process, what I was thinking going into each trade, and what mistakes that I think I made and what I can improve on for the next time, for the next month. See if we can have another record-breaking month for my challenge account and Roth IRA. So let's just get started. The first trade I want to go over, this was my biggest trade of the month. This was OTRK. So what I was initially looking at for this one was the bankruptcy news, right? This one had news where, the company planned to cease operations and they terminated all the employees of the company, basically bankruptcy. And if we go to the daily chart, you can see that on July 31st, they had this massive drop back here going from 50 cents all the way down to 22 in a matter of 2 days, right? So that's around a 60% drop. And if we go to a lower time frame, you're really going to see that drop from 71 cents down to 22. And another thing I was looking at for this one was the low float. So you can see that this thing had 4.6 million float at the time. I was looking at this on a smaller time frame for a better entry, and once the news comes out, tons of sellers start stepping in. People are just dumping it, and this thing drops all the way to like 25 cents. But, with a float that's only 4.6 million and the shares outstanding is 7, I think it was like 1.8 million market cap, so it's really low market cap. And, when the stock is just so low market cap like that, you can expect to see huge price swings out of it. Since bankruptcy plays are my thing, I had my eye on this one. First trade, I took an entry over this breakout here with this volume starting to come in, and then you can just see just right after started ripping, and then consolidated for a while, spiked almost to 40 cents, but I still didn't take my profits on this because I think I was aiming for like 40 to 42 on this. And you can see here it spiked to 43, and this is where my orders got filled. As it's spiking, I just have my limit orders set at the price targets. And right after, you can see this thing just dumped 50%. So that's what I'm saying with these low floaters. You can see that a lot of these have huge price swings, right? It can run 100%, but it can also drop 50% just as easily. When this happened, I should have been looking for re-ads on this because they didn't have any delist date or anything yet. So it's still a fresh play, right? And it literally just ran 100%. So I should have been looking for entries on this here because it went to 54 next day, right? So I totally missed the opportunity for round two on this one. That's okay, right? You can always get multiple opportunities out of this. You can see that after it went from 54 cents down to 25 again. And then I took another entry around this 29-cent area down here. After this dumped, right, from the 54-cent high, it dropped all the way to 25 cents again. And then you can see this long consolidation for, I think it was for a couple days. On this day here, it was starting to break out, so I alerted it at like a 29-cent or 30 cent as another dip buy. And you can see, again, huge rips going to 40 cents, 44 again, and then on this day it went to 62. And on this one, I think I was aiming for 40 cents again, and I think I sold most of it into the 42 cent, 43 cent area. I still had some lottos, right, as it was running to 62, and I was just taking the rest of my gains out as it was going up there. So it came back all the way down again, and you can see here as it was holding support at this 33-cent area, spiked again to, 54 cents. These are just the nature of bankruptcy plays, right? This is why I love trading them. I don't think I caught the rip on this one, but nonetheless, if you include both trades, I think I made around $34,000. And yeah, this one was my biggest gainer of all time for one ticker. I think I executed my trades on this one pretty well. I did miss a couple opportunities on it, but next time I just need to be paying attention more when these low flow bankruptcy plays hit support again. So the next trade I want to go over is TPIC, TPIC. So man, this one was a colossal failure on my part. I executed this horribly. I did not get the optimal entry price for this or have a good risk reward, and I oversized as well. After making 40,000 almost on OTRK alone, I think I was just overconfident in going into the next bankruptcy play, and I just oversized on this one when there was no reason to. And yeah, I'm just gonna go over how I entered and exited this trade. So going on the smaller time frame here, this was the day that they announced their bankruptcy. This stock dropped from 70 cents all the way down to 14. Now, I don't know why I didn't take an entry down here. This would have been an optimal area. because, you know, it's forming a support and it's starting to reverse, but I just didn't take an entry. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention or something. But I only took an entry as it started breaking out to 22, 21 cents, somewhere around that area. So already the stock is up like 50% from the lows, and my stop loss, it's pretty wide. I think it was under like 17 or 16. So it's not a very optimal risk reward at all. On top of that, I oversized. I think I went in with like half my account on this. No reason to go in that heavy on this type of ticker, especially at that price. I think I was expecting this to hit like 38 cents from 20 cents. So I don't know what I was expecting. I should have been more realistic with my targets, considering that it's already up 50% from the lows. And I think I was just really hoping for a breakout here, because in pre-market it looked like it was crawling up, but you can see shortly after market open, this thing just tanked, hit my stop loss, and on this one, I think I lost around 15,000 total for this trade. Wasn't happy with this trade, poor execution on my part, and it just ended up being my biggest loser. But you know, next time I know I need to be more patient with my entries, or just take a better risk reward entry. I could have took one at support here before it was popping off. I could have re-entered again back here when it was dipping near 15 and just have a stop under 14. And you can see it just consolidated again for another day or two, but it still held this 14 as support. You can see next day ripped to 44 cents. So I took like a week break from trading after I took that loss on this ticker. So you know, I missed the move here from 14 cents all the way to 44. Oh yeah, I totally missed this one. It's okay. I already learned my lesson from this stock, so it's probably better for me to just not touch it at all. I just missed the execution on this one. So for future trades, I'm just going to be, you know, watching my size, don't get too overconfident when I place a trade, and get a better risk reward entry, or just not touch it at all. Now the next ticker I want to go over is EPIX, so it's EPIX. This one was a penny play. It was gapping after dividend news. So this company had like a huge dividend, like $1.90, something like that. And the company just spiked to $1.80 in pre-market, but it immediately dropped to 32 cents. And people thought that they were going to get the $1.90 per share when it's at 30 cents. And that's why it just built hype and it spiked all the way to $1. I didn't buy it for that reason. I really didn't like that, actually, because I already knew that the ex-dividend date was passed for it. So anyone buying at 90 cents, they're not going to be getting that dividend. The date's already passed, and it should only be trading at like 20 cents. This thing is massively overvalued, but it had a chart structure that I've seen before on stock that had a similar setup. It wasn't a dividend stock, but it was COSM, where they had a messed up reverse split and they dropped like 95%. Because brokers and exchanges did not adjust for the split correctly. And that one went from like 21 cents all the way to $21, I think. And it had this very similar chart in pre-market where it had this massive drop from earlier in pre-market. It dipped all the way to 28 for this one. And you can see it was just ripping nonstop for like a good hour or two. And you know, keep in mind this thing had like 100+ million volume before market even opened. So that's why I took an entry on this around 76, and it was looking good in the morning. It was consolidating and it was starting to curl back up, and I had my stop loss under 66 cents. And for this one, I only went in small size because, you know, I already know it's way overvalued after their dividend news. But with my stop loss in place, I wasn't going to lose much since I just have small size. Now, what happened was they actually got halted on a T1 halt, so that's a news halt. And the company basically just reinstated the news that they announced earlier about the dividend. They didn't announce anything special, so this thing was halted all day, and it just caused a lot of fear and panic for people who are already holding the stock. I don't know why the company had to announce that, but a news halt is never good for traders. And as soon as it unhalted, everyone just wanted to sell at once, and you can see that's what happened here. This thing dumped from 76 cents all the way to 22. So I had to exit around 36. So I took a pretty sizable loss on this. I sized in with around 20K and I lost about 10K on this trade because, you know, the stock dropped in half immediately after the unhalt. There wasn't much I could do on this trade, but I do think I managed it to the best of my ability. Like I said, I took small size on this because it was a lotto. There's nothing you can do about the stock halting, right? Because no one's going to know that the company is going to halt the stock just to announce some news. That was just purely bad luck on that part. I think I executed this well enough where I sold this at 36, right? Before it dropped to 22. It would have dropped even harder if I kept holding. So yeah, this one was my second biggest loss ever, but I do think this was out of my control, and I did the best I could with my position sizing and risk management. For the last ticker I'm going to be going over in this video is WAI. This one was a delist play, and they announced their filing a couple days ago, saying that the Nasdaq determined to delist them, and they had until the 25th to file a hearing, and if not, they would get delisted on the 27th. So that's why you can see the stock drop from 36 all the way down to 9 cents. Almost a 70% drop there. If we go down to a smaller time frame, I was watching for this to create some support or somewhere I can risk off of for a decent risk reward entry. And you can see this thing dropped from 36 down to 20. At this point, I haven't really touched it yet, but you can see in the following days, this thing started to drop more and more. And you can see here on the 25th, they dropped even harder. The day before they were at 20, and they literally dropped 50%. They bounced all the way back to 14 cents, but I did not get an entry down here because it just moved too quickly and there just wasn't enough volume to size in. On the next day, you can see in pre-market, this thing was trading at 10 cents, and then it popped back to 12. And it was holding it all day. And keep in mind, this is the 27th. So this was the day that they were supposed to get delisted, but they weren't yet. So that's why I was just eyeing it the entire pre-market. I was looking for an entry once it started breaking out over their pre-market resistance, and then, market opened. And then I see this spike to 14 cents with this huge volume coming in. So I set my limit orders to 12.8 in case we had a dump, because I don't want a 14-cent entry with a stop loss under 10 or 11, that's just too wide of a stop loss for me. So I set my limit order right above the breakout point, and luckily it did dip. It had a knife right here, and I was able to get filled on most of my shares. And then I sent out the alert as well for, I took an entry at 12.8, and this thing ripped in like 10 minutes, right? This thing ripped from 12 cents to 37. So almost 200% from entry. And you can see it just spiked. But then once it runs this quickly in such a short period of time, people are going to take profits. So you can see here, it just wicked down. Still consolidated for a while, and just slowly throughout the day it just trickled down, and it never had an actual hard dump. I was looking for re-entries on this towards the end of the day when it was trading at 13, because this was near the breakout level from before. But unfortunately I was sleeping because Hawaii time zone is killer for the market. So I was asleep right at market close, and you can see this would have been a nice opportunity here to get in on a potential support bounce down here in the 13s. Or you could have gotten it on a reversal breakout at this 15 cents area. This thing was consolidating for after hours until it popped again next morning to 25. So unfortunately, I missed that trade from 13 to 25. But overall, I still managed to make around 13,000 from this ticker. So on my challenge account alone, I made around 22,000 for August. And for my Roth IRA, I made about 17,000. So very good month overall. It's definitely one of my best months. And just going forward, I'm going to be more strict with my risk management and just watch my position sizing, making sure I'm not oversizing into trades. And yeah, hopefully I can take the challenge account to 500K or $1 million within the next year. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you for watching my video. If this helped you in any way, feel free to subscribe. I plan to do more trade recaps in the future. If you liked it, leave a thumbs up. And if you have any ideas for future videos that you want me to make, then leave it in the comment section below. But that's it for me today. See you guys later.